Grand afternoon, lovely people. You know who it is, your girl Maricia. I hope you are having a great and wonderful, fantastic day because I am, and I hope that you are too. It is a great day outside. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, so I mean, it was raining earlier, but now it's cool. I hope that wherever you are, you're having a great and fantastic day. If you're not, I want you to take a moment to breathe in, exhale, and press reset. You have the ability to control anything and everything in your life. And if you cannot control or fix your situation, change your perspective. All right? But let's go on to this video. It's been a minute since I made my first video of step one of my healing process called acceptance. So today I want to talk about step two, which I call anger. And just so I can put this out there, everybody does not go through the same steps. Their steps are always different. But this is my story. This is how my healing process went. And so I call this stage the angry stage because I was angry. I was fucking angry. Like I can't even explain the level of anger that I felt within my being. I felt it within my whole entire being, inside and out. And now that I'm out of that stage, it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. But let's go back and talk about how I got into that stage. So at the end of my acceptance video, I stated that I had just got to a place where I just knew that I needed to change. I needed to get to a better place, and I started to accept that I needed to heal. And then after that process happened, I had all these feelings. Like I took off all my band-aids off at one time. Usually you go through therapy, you go through the healing process, you start taking one off at a time, just one thing at a time. But that's not what happened with me. What happened was I went through the traumatic event. And I was getting back into the community. I was like, yes, I'm gonna put this big old community event on. I'm about to get back into that. I had just connected with another organization. I was ready. I was pumped, and I was like, yes, guys, let's do. Everything was flowing together perfectly. And so the morning before, I went to go do this event. I was grilling on my grill at home, propane grill. Never had a problem being on this grill all summer, no problem. Went to put the food on, blah, blah. Came back out, the grill was up. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So I went to go relight it, and that boy blew back in my face. And in that moment, I was in a state of shock. I just moved. I was just like, whoa, wait a minute. And I got home. I went to the doctors and everything, and they was telling me how amazing, how blessed I was, and how much it was a miracle because I didn't have any marks, and for me to be that close to the grill, nothing happened. But I was in the state of numbness. I was in a state of shock because that just happened to me, and I had no clue what happened. So I remember sitting there in the hospital, just like, God, why? Why did this just happen? When I'm on my way to go do something good, this just happened. And I was just numb. I was numb. I was numb. And so then I went home and I went to bed, and I was just laying there. I was just laying there. I was still in shock. But I was determined not to give up, determined to continue to go to the feed the homeless. So the very next day I got up and fed the homeless, and I was still just in this mode of numbness. Like I didn't have no feelings. I didn't. If people ask how I was just, I'm okay. Like it was. My mind did not process what had happened, and so I'm just sitting there. I'm in this state of shock, and I remember after I fed the homeless, I felt so like relieved, and like everybody was so excited. I was there. I felt good, but when I got home, it was just like all those good emotions had just went away because I still had to look at myself in the mirror and see all the burnt marks on my face, no eyelashes, and I was just like, okay. And then the reality starts sitting there, that this just happened to me. And when in the midst of it, my life flew before my eyes because I thought it was gone. I thought my face was gone. I just thought the worst, and I was just in a state of shock because I had my girls at the house, and I was just like, "Will something happen to them?" I was so much was going on my mind. But let's fast forward, and I was sitting there, and my she's like a mother to me. She reached down and said, "Have you cried yet?" I said, "No, I don't need to. Like I don't need to. I'm okay." And she was like, "You're gonna need to cry." And I said, "No, I'm good." And so I remember sitting there, and I remember my ex-husband was at the bottom of my stairs. And I heard him like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "I'm just making sure you're okay." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. How long you been sitting there?" He was like, "Been sitting there for a minute. Came up, check on, make sure that you was alive, make sure you didn't need nothing." And then I had no clue he even came up. I didn't even know I was talking to him until this moment. He was like, "You asked me when I got here." I said, "Oh, okay." And I was like, he's like, "I'm gonna sit here and chill with the kids for a little bit. Need anything you eating?" I was like, "No, I'm not hungry. I haven't eaten in 2 days." And he was like, "You need to eat something." I'm like, "No, I'm good." And I'm just in this period of just numbness. I don't feel nothing. I don't know nothing. He was like, um, have you processed it?" I said, "Why are you asking me this?" And I was like, "No, I haven't. I'm okay." And I'm like, "Okay." And I just didn't process it at all. I didn't process it at all. And um, I remember reaching out to the guy I was sleeping with, and he was like, "Yeah," because he hadn't came by or nothing. He was like, "I got 45 minutes. I'll come by and check on you." I'm like, 45 minutes, like, and I didn't respond to the text message. I was just like, "That's all I'm worth is 45 minutes." Like, I've been kicking the bitch for a minute, and you gave me 45 minutes after something like this just happened to me, and I've been there through his whole entire anything he had went through in his period of me being in his life. I've been there, running to his aid, and I was like, "I get 45 minutes." And at that moment, I became angry. I became frustrated. I became filled with so much anger because here I am going through this traumatic event, and you give me 45 minutes. Here it is, my ex-husband who put me through hell, is at the bottom of my stairs, making sure that I'm okay. And I just started being filled with anger. Like this, I couldn't even explain how angry I was. I would just start feeling this hate, this anger, and he came over, but for that 45 fucking minutes, and I was so fucking mad. I was so pissed. I was so angry, and I didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing at all. He left. The next day came, and I was like, "I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna go about my way. I'm gonna do my normal." And I was by myself for a whole entire day. And my aunt, like I said, I'm gonna call her my aunt. She was like, "Have you cried yet?" And I was like, "No, I am okay. I don't need to cry." And she was like, "Okay." And she prayed for me. And I was just in this period. I just felt myself getting angry. I was angry at her, but I don't know why I was angry at her. And I was sitting there, and the day came by, and I just wanted to be healed. I just wanted to be healed because I tried to cry and I couldn't cry because my tear ducts were burnt, and so it hurted. It burned to even have water touch it. And so I was like, "I'm not gonna cry. Fuck this shit. I'm not gonna cry." I just held everything inside. And I was like, I just wanted to be healed. And so I went down to his house, and he wasn't there. And I sat and I drove back home, and I sat in my car and I cried. I cried, the ugliest cry I could ever cry, and I was just like, how dare he? How dare he, in the midst of me going through what I'm going through, be laid up with somebody else? And I was so hurt and broken. And I just started remembering all the pain that he had put me through, that my ex-husband had put me through, that my mother had put me through. I just started remembering all the pain that I've been through in my life. And I just sat there and I cried. I cried my eyes out. I yelled. I screamed. I was so mad at the world that here I am trying to give to the needy that I always have done. And yet I was punished with my grill blowing back on my face and almost losing my face, almost losing my life. And to know, and I was so mad at God. I was so mad at God because I was like, how could this even happen to me? And I've been doing this good all my life. I'm like, what karma do I deserve? What have I done that karma has paid me back in this as like this? And I was just like, this can't be something I deserve. And I was so mad at God. I was so mad at God. I was so mad at myself. I was so mad at everybody in my life. And I held that anger. The last video I became Jason, I wanted everybody to motherfucking pay. After that, I wanted everybody to pay for everything they have ever done to me. I was so mad. I came overfilled with this anger and this frustration, and I was just like, I hate the world. Like, what did I do to deserve any of this? And I was just so mad. And I was like, I I couldn't believe how I was being treated. And so I was sitting, I just sat in my room for days. I kept my phone on, do not disturb. My kids were with their father, and so I didn't have nobody to talk to. I didn't want nobody to talk to. I just sat there, and I just sat in that space, and that anger, and that frustration. I tore my room up. I tore my house up. I was so frustrated, and I was so filled with anger, and I just kept replaying all the things that people did to me over the years, over and over and over again. And I was just so mad. Like, everything that I've been through, everything that I had to endure, that I never said a word, forgiving everybody who have ever hurt me over and over again, and never said a word of how they hurt me. Always trying to tell them about themselves, but in a way that did not come off mean, because I didn't want them to feel mad. I didn't want them to be mad at me. I didn't want them to be angry at me. So I would tell them nicely how they hurt my feelings, and I forgive them and let them allow them continue to hurt my feelings, and continue to hurt, and to continue to help them, continue to be all in, because I didn't want them to reject me. I didn't want them to be mad at me, even though I did nothing wrong. I didn't want them to be mad at me, and I was so mad at myself. I was so disappointed at myself. And I remember my son having this birthday party. His grandma was like, "Yeah, I'm having this thing for him. I need you to bring the kids." I was like, "Fuck that shit. You come get the kids." And that was my first thought. And I ain't been out the house. I ain't been out the house. Like, I was in the house for like almost a week. I ain't been out the house. And like, my daughter was like, "You going?" I said, "She can come get you. I'm not going nowhere." And she was like, "Well, can you just please just drop us off?" I was like, "No." I was arguing with my daughter because I did not want to leave the house. Um, but no one knew I was going. No one knew I was going to the storm. I was just quiet. Didn't really speak to nobody. I just telling people I was just going MIA. That's all I was saying to people. And I was like, "Can you please drop us off?" Okay, my aunt, I need you to drop us off. And I said, "Okay." And so I dropped them off in Lakewood, and I sat in my car. I just remember sitting in my car, and they were like, "You're not getting out?" I said, "Absolutely not. I'm just here." And it's my son's birthday. And even though, and I didn't feel bad, I was just angry. I was mad, and a part of me was mad at my kids because I had to be there. And I was just like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" But I was just mad. I was angry. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm writing this letter, writing down my feelings of how I felt. And um, and I was just like, I got this car, because this car, I was gonna drive myself crazy in this car, because I was always just thinking about everything, everybody who hurt me. So I got the car, and I'm walking, and my youngest daughter comes up to me. It was like, "Can I walk with you?" And I'm just like, "No." And she was like, "I just want to walk with you. I'm not gonna say anything. I promise I'm not gonna say anything." And I said, "Okay." And so I'm just walking, and she holds my hand. Got these big ass glasses on, the black glasses on. She's holding my hand. So in Lakewood, they have these little stairs that's facing the water. And so we're walking that way. She's holding my hand, and she sits down. We sit down on one of the stairs, and she's holding my hand, sitting right directly next to me. And she's like, "Mommy, look at the ocean." She's like, "The clouds are so peaceful. The water is just moving." And she was like, "How about we just breathe?" And she was like, "Just breathe with me." I'm like, "You 6, what?" She's like, "Just breathe with me." And so I breathe with her. And each breath I take in, each breath I let out, I feel my emotions rising. And by the third breath, I'm just crying. I am in tears. And she's just sitting there. She's holding my hand, and I'm just in tears. And I'm just like, "God, what's wrong?" And I'm just like, why am I feeling like this? And she's just sitting there, and she's holding my hand, and she's not letting go. And I'm just like, and she's like, "Breathe." And I'm just like, why is my daughter sitting here telling me to breathe? And I'm just like, what's wrong with me? Why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling so much hate and so much pain? And so I'm just sitting there, and I'm just crying. And she gets up, and she's running back and forth, and she's just playing, and she's just peaceful. She's not saying not one word. And I'm just like, what is this, God? What is this? And I'm like, I'm so angry at myself for being mad at my kids at this point, because I came here to drop them off and I'm so mad, and I'm just like, why am I filled with so much anger? My kids are my world, so why am I filled with so much anger, and why am I projecting it towards them? And God's like, you're mad at the wrong person. And I'm just like, what? And I'm just like, what? I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like, no, that ain't God talking to me, because I'm like, who am I mad at? Like, what am I have every right to be mad at who I'm supposed to be mad at. And so my daughter's like, I want to go back to the park. I said, okay. So I walk her back to the park, and I walk back over, and I'm looking at my phone, trying not to cry. I'm trying not to cry. So I'm trying to do everything else in my power to just keep my mind focused. And I'm looking online. I get this email from this Black Woman Breathe class, and I'm just like, I'm not doing this. And it pops up, and I'm scrolling on my emails, and it pops up again. I'm like, I just saw this. So I click on it, and it's a link to Black Women Breathe class. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit here. I'm just going to watch it. So the lady gets on, the instructors gets on, and she's doing these breathing exercises. I'm like, here we go, these breathing exercises again. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the breathing exercises, and I'm by myself in Lakewood Park, isolated, away from the kids, away from people. I'm just sitting there. And then she starts the section off with 2 questions. She says, what is your relationship with you today, and who taught you how to love? And I'm just like, I'm about to click off of this. I ain't got time for this. But her voice is so captivating that it draws you in. And I'm just listening. And she's like, and I'm like, okay. So I start writing down my thoughts. I start writing down how I feel and this and that. And then she gets to a sharing part. I'm like, oh no, I'm not about to share nothing. I just wrote it out to myself. I'm not. And she get to everybody, and she was like, Miss Sweet, you care to share? And I was like, no, I don't. And she was like, a part of this is to be able to be, I want to provide a safe place for women to vent, and let's address these. And she was like, you're okay, you're in a safe place. And I looked at what I wrote, and my answer was, I hate myself right now. I am angry at myself. I'm disappointed at myself. I let myself down. I want to be so in love with myself, but I'm so disappointed in how I allow people to hurt me. And I'm telling her this is going on, talk about how I was so mad at the world, and how how people had did things that hurt me. And she's like, I can feel your pain. I can hear your pain in everything you're saying. And she started praying for me. Not only did she start praying for me, everybody in the group started praying for me. And I just started feeling, I'm a crybaby anyways. So I just started crying again. And I'm just like, and I just listening to her prayer, and I just listening to all the women just pour into me and pour into what I had to say, because nobody knew but these strangers that I was going through this. Nobody knew. And I was just sitting there, and I was just so angry and so upset. And I was just like, okay. And she was like, you can't stay here. You have to get out of this place, because anger will take over your life. And even though those people did what they did, that is not the end of your story. And I was like, and I'm just like, they hurt me. And I just sat there, and the rest of the day I was just quiet. I went in my room, didn't say anything. The next day I woke up, and my brother Ferris had sent me a text message, and he was just saying, I just want you to know that I love you, and that he was just pointing to me, and he had sent me some scriptures. And the whole time, even to my side, in my head, he always does that. He just pours into me. He just says me, I just want you to know I'm thinking about you. I want you to know that I love you and I care about you. Whatever you're going through, we're gonna make it through. I got your back. Don't worry about it. It's always dropping some type of, he always pointing to me. Him, Tiffany, and my twin always pointing to me something. And Anika, she always just send this random text message out of nowhere. And It's them pouring into me when I needed them. Even though I wasn't talking and something was going, they knew that something was wrong. They knew something was going on without me even saying anything. And so I sat there, and the next day was my counseling section. And I remember telling her that I was so angry, that I was so disappointed in myself. And she was like, why you never call me? And I was like thinking about it. Thinking about that hurt place I was in was just, this seemed the growth that I made. Now I was like, oh my God. I was so hurt. I was so angry. And I was just filled with this pain that I had let brew for years, just holding inside, never addressing how I feel. And she was like, I don't never want you to go through that ever again and not reach out to me. You should never have to go through that period of not talking to somebody when you're feeling like that. And I'm so used to being a strong black woman that I was like, no, I'm not going to tell nobody what I'm going through. I can handle it. I can get through it. It's gonna be eventually. And I didn't want to hear it's okay, it's gonna get better. I didn't want to hear that from people, so I kept it to myself. And she understood what I was saying, and so we talked about it. And she was like, what I want you to do is to let all your feelings out now. I need you to cry about it. I need you to yell about it. I need you to let all this out, because you're holding on to this pain. And what she had me do was write down everybody who had hurt me, and write down what they did next to their name, and write a letter to them. Not a letter that I was going to give to them, just write a letter down to them, everything of how I ever felt, of what they did to me, and how they did it, how they treated me. And then she wanted me to burn it. And then she wanted me to forgive myself for not trusting my instinct, forgive myself for not listening to me, forgive myself for letting myself down, forgive myself for not knowing better in those times, forgive myself for knowing better and not doing better. I did everything she told me to do, and it was like a load was lifted off of me. An instant load was lifted off of me. I even asked God forgive me for being mad at him. And my aunt had texted me a text message like, I'm just checking in on you. God put you on my spirit, and I just want to make sure you're okay. And I sent her a text thanking her and appreciating her, because this whole time she was telling me to do all this, I was so mad and angry that I didn't do it. I didn't pay attention to it. And I started feeling better. In the next section of therapy, my next week's therapy, she was like, now you're in a better place, I want you to